afternoon, everybody. This is Ian with Mountain Moose Reviews. I'm coming at you with another top 5 video. This week's top 5 video is going to be the top 5 things that I think you can still do while in quarantine that will help you both with prepping as well as help you in the future for your survival skills. Little disclaimer for the beginning of the video. I want you to remind you to abide by all your local and state laws. So currently a lot of states have either a stay-at-home, stay-in-place quarantine. So I understand some of these may not be able to be applicable to you. However, most of these that I've selected are things you can do at home that are still things that you should practice on or work on before you actually need the skills. So the top 5 things are going to go down the list, and we'll just start from here. So the first one is to read all those unfinished books that you have purchased in the effort of either being self-sustaining, being better at exercise, or doing some type of skill that you said, oh yeah, I'm totally going to read this book, and you never did. I am just as guilty. There's about 6 books downstairs. I'm about halfway to maybe 3/4 of the way through that I just either stopped, lost interest, or found an new shiny object. Love to read books. With the availability of things like Amazon Prime or Barnes & Noble's Nook, there is really no excuse to not use this time and maximize this time to better your education on some of the prepping aspects. So some of the things that I've recommended, I've got a whole stack of books here, and I'll kind of go through them real quickly because I want to make sure that folks can see that I do read these books, and these are things that I've actually gone through and I believe actually have value added. I've read a lot of other books that are like, kind of garbage and would probably make better fire kindling. First one that I've been seen a lot with is James Wesley Rawls's book. So for some of you who have heard me use his name in vain in other videos, James Wesley Rawls is considered one of the forefathers of prepping. It's a really great book because it kind of touches everything on it with regards to everything. It's water, food, when to leave home, security situations, gardening, medical stuff. So it kind of goes through and gives a brief overview. It is not something that I consider all-inclusive. As you can see, it's not that big of a book. But you can also see by the cover, it's been well-used, well-referenced, and I even have kids drawing on it. That's how long I've had this book. The second one I'd like to talk about just a little bit is Bear Grylls. Some of you guys have known Bear Grylls because of his exploits on the Discovery Channel. He's done a lot of books that I have actually personally read and like. This one in particular, A Survival Guide for Life, I really enjoyed because it had a whole lot of short chapters that basically talks about all the different things you can or can't do to kind of help better your life in general. This is not specifically a prepping book, but it kind of goes into everything of, you know, just being a better person, leading a better life. You know, little one like here is a chat, you can't be a horseman until you fall off a horse. There's little stories and anecdotes that talk about those points. To brief, you know, there's a good one. To be brave, you have to once be afraid. I've read this book twice, and I've read parts of these books to my kids. I think it's a very good book just to kind of get through. And it's really lighthearted and something that's not bad to add to your repertoire just because it might help get you out of some of the funks that you might be in because, let's be realistic, it's kind of a stressful time for most. One of the other books that I really recommend for folks who are interested in hunting, fishing, cooking is Steve Ranilla. He's very well known for the Meat Eater series. This is one of 3 books that I have for him. He's got tons of books out here, but this one specifically talks about wild game, how to harvest it, and how to cook and prepare it. So this particular one that I've got here is all about birds and, you know, everything from dove hunting, duck hunting, goose hunting, things of that nature. And then it talks about the preparations for it. His cookbook, he has a wildlife cookbook, is phenomenal. He also has some really cool books with regard to hunting. He's got another book about buffalo. I believe it's The Last Buffalo. It talks about the wild buffalo herds and what happened to them throughout the 1800s. A few more that I'm going to go through briefly. So Outdoor Life has an entire series, and so does Field and Stream, of just an absolute plethora of books that are very well written in my opinion, and they kind of hold the test of time. So the ones I brought out here, Prepare for Anything. It's, as you can see, colored photos. Some of it talks a little bit over what I've already gone over some of the other books in terms of prepping, but it goes through hey, here's a generalized idea of what you need to think about. For that one, it's, again, more disaster and preparedness. The gun one, good lord, shooting skills I've gone through at least 16 times, and it's a really interesting book for me because I'm kind of a firearms nerd. But the nice part that I like about it is it breaks down, hey, what are each gun, what do they do? Here's some guns that our editors have recommended. It also goes into some of the calibers and skills. There are calibers for, hey, this is a good one for small game, large game, so on and so forth. And then because I'm not able to go to the shooting range, I've been reading this one a heck of a lot more because I have a big enough backyard where I can get away with shooting a bow and crossbow in the backyard. But it goes into, again, basic skills, basic things you may or may not know about a crossbow. It's just nice to have it on hand. And then there's always, again, extra little books that I have, shooting, reloading, things like that interest me. Good things to take a look through and have. And then finally is the Backyard Home Center. Now there's a ton of books similar to this. I believe one of my last videos had an entire, the huge volumes with regards to how to do things like the old-timey way, how to make soap, how to skin a rabbit. Skills that our grandparents may have known in order to feed their families back in the day. But this is a really good, there's a ton of little books where you can actually find little bits of knowledge in here for growing food. I know everybody's been buying, oh no, now we have to all of a sudden start gardening. We did it at our house. But it's one of those things that it's nice to have around. It even has recipes in here for how to cook your own bread if you don't have all the materials and or if you don't have bread on the shelves like the current run on some of the stores. So just, again, to reiterate, read all those unread books and then try and figure it out from there. Now, for the reading aspect, you got that. But unfortunately, if you don't practice what you read, you're going to forget it and or it's just knowledge that you haven't actually tried. And for some of that, I'm going to bring up my little helper. Come on over, sweetie. So, this is my daughter, and she and I have been palling around since we've been in quarantine, huh?
Yeah.
And what kind of stuff have we been up to? Do you remember?
Gardening.
Gardening, okay. And what kind of stuff have we gardened?
Rosemary, a mint plant, cantaloupe, I believe some tomatoes.
Some tomatoes, and then it takes a lot longer to grow stuff than you thought.
And also rosemary.
Yep, you said that twice. You must really like rosemary.
No, I just like the smell. It's pretty.
You like the smell of rosemary? Now, how are our seeds doing?
Well, I haven't seen them grow yet.
That's because it takes a long time, huh?
Yeah, it's going to take 3 more months.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I want to kind of talk about is it's really easy to read a book that says, hey, we're going to have these seeds and eat off of these things. It's not instantaneous. It does take a long time, especially if you're growing stuff from a seed packet. Some of the other things that we went over, maintenance of tools that you have on hand. So this is a great time to put away that excuse of, oh, well, I don't have time to sharpen those lawnmower blades. I don't know how to sharpen a knife. Well, this is a great time to learn how. Why not? You got nothing but time, right? Can you break down and clean the new guns or new toys that you got? So that was one of the things that I ended up doing the other day. I spent probably 4 hours just breaking down things and cleaning them, fixing them back up. One of the things we look for is we go on walks, long walks, because we're allowed to. What kind of things do we look for when we're on walks?
Like we look for like tracks.
What kind of animal tracks have you seen out here?
Like I believe there's raccoon or badger.
Raccoon.
And dog.
And dogs, but what kind of dogs? Are they good dogs or are they coyotes?
Yeah, coyotes.
Yep, there's some coyotes. So that's one of the things that we've been practicing is some of the books that we had showed animal tracks. So we would go through and look in our local area to figure out what tracks are around as well as local plants and animals. And the final thing I want to talk about with practicing what you preach, you remember what this is, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
I believe you said Kindle or something.
It's a stove, camping stove.
Yeah.
So I bought one of these when, how old were you? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
That's because you were about 6 months old when I bought that.
Oh God, I know why I can't remember that.
That's exactly why you can't remember it. One of the things I tried to show you was how to do what? What did we use? You remember? Flint and striker.
Striker.
And it's hard to start a fire with those, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot easier to start one with a lighter.
Yeah.
And then we also bought some of the cool Gucci stuff called Pyro Putty. Does that work very well?
I don't know.
Not so much. But that's...
On a scale to 1 to 5, I'd give it like maybe a 3 or 2.
Yeah, I'd say so too. But that was because we were trying to get it started with a Flint and Striker set. It seemed to work a lot better whenever we decided to do a lighter, huh?
Like on a scale to one to 5 on that, it would be a 5.
Yeah. So that's one of those things is if you don't practice those cool new preparedness and survival skills in your book, you're probably not going to be very effective at doing it when you really need to. So the third thing that I wanted to discuss on our list is exercise. So according to the Center for Disease and Control, during 15 to 16, 39.8% of all American adults over the age of 20 are considered either obese or morbidly obese. 39%. That's almost 4 out of every 10 adults. So, how are you supposed to be prepared for anything in survival life if you are unfit, you don't know, you can't carry stuff for long periods of time, or your cardiovascular system is just absolutely overworked? I understand that being stuck inside of a house or something like that might limit it, but there's a plethora of options that you can do that'll help you out. For our house, we are able to get out and about and go hiking, right?
Yeah.
So we do a little bit of hiking and walking around the neighborhood. We also do, we have an exercise bike at the house. We have some limited free weights. We do a lot of body weight exercises. One of the apps that I like to use is Darabree, Darabree. It's a free app that does body weight exercises, and you can customize your workout if you want to do legs or chest or full body. Really good workouts. There's a lot of YouTube videos. We do yoga.
Yeah.
How good is Daddy at yoga?
I don't know.
Not very good.
Like
I try really hard, but I am ugly yogaing. But the important thing is that I'm trying, and that's the number one thing, is to at least give it a shot. One of the things that everybody always talks about, oh yeah, I'm going to bug out, man. I'm going to get out of Dodge and put on my pack and go. Have any of you actually tried to put on a heavy pack and go? So the current Army standard for a ruck march, which is a 35-pound pack, plus your body weight, or your body armor, full loadout, water, and a helmet, which is approximately about 100 pounds worth of gear, is to be able to do 12 miles in 4 hours. That's a pretty tough standard for somebody who hasn't done it before. So one of the things I'd encourage is if that is your idea, is I'm going to go put on a backpack and, Davy Crockett this stuff, or, head out into the wild unknowns to go hunt and forage for food, like, more on you, Daniel Boone, but you probably should see whether or not you can actually carry the stuff first and how far you can carry it. It'll also show you whether or not you have adequate gear, adequate shoes, how you're able to treat hot spots on your feet, blister control and management. So there's a lot of things like that that just aren't considered because of the romanticized version of, I'm just going to go strike out on my own into the wilderness. The benefits of extra exercise too, you live longer, you live healthier, you drop those few pounds so you get your summer bod for the beaches, if we're allowed to go to the beaches now. And then the other thing that I think is highly underrated is that you will get a great way for stress relief. So some of you who are stressing out about the news, stressing out about everything that's going on with the COVID-19, great way to get through all that stress is to just, and for military terms, smoke yourself to the point where all you want to do is go to bed. It's a great way to get yourself to go back to sleep. So number 4 on our list is what? Can you read that?
Learn new skills? I can't read your sloppy thing.
You can't read my sloppy writing. I should have been a doctor. So, learn new skills. So one of the things that's going on right now, there's a ton of universities, a ton of places right now that are offering a free tuition, free courses, free upgrades, learning how to do certain skills. I would currently look at the current job markets and see who is in demand, who is an essential job. I know you can't get a nursing or a doctorate degree online, but at least you can start getting some of your background information into that field so that way you have an option potentially whenever you go back to work. Plumbing, trash folks, look at the in-demand career fields that are essential to our current situation. The other things you can look at learning to do, I've already discussed some of them, was learn how to cook. In our house, we realize that we go through a lot of soap because some people like to play with the soap, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we figured one of the things that we need to do, what happens if there's no soap? Then you're going to walk around all stinky, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't need that because Daddy's stinky enough for all of us.
We need a way to make new soap.
We need a way to make new soap, but we got on the bandwagon a little late because it wasn't a priority for us. So now we have to go through the hoops, and I'm working with some of my close personal friends to find that out. The final one that I want to go through is look at first aid courses. There's a lot of free online first aid courses you can go through just so you know how to take care of yourself in a bad situation.
Everybody needs to know that.
Okay. So one of the great resources online that you can look at is the American Heart Association. They have basic life support courses, advanced life support courses, CPR courses that are available for anybody for free. And it's good things to know around the house, especially when there's a time when it may be a while to get that medical aid that you require. And the final one that I've already kind of touched on, but I'm going to re-hit on it again, is actually test the gear that you've decided to binge purchase from Amazon or Cabela's or Walmart or wherever survival place you've actually tried. That goes for everything from survival food to water, water purifier kits to your knives. Take a look at what you've got and learn them backwards and forwards. One of the biggest things that you could screw up on, and it could actually hurt you in more ways than one, is not testing the resources that you have to see whether or not they're adequate for your needs. I can say that I had to do this myself, so I may or may not have binge purchased a crossbow. I don't need a crossbow, but I wanted one. Bought one. So what did I decide to do? I talk it out and it says in the backyard, oh yeah, it's good, it's zeroed in for 20 yards. No it's not. I almost put a crossbow bolt through my neighbor's fence because it shot a wee bit high. So one of the big things that I want to make sure is that I had to take the time of learning how to use those new tools and make sure that all my stuff was zeroed correctly. Otherwise, if I had needed that and just threw it in my pack to go walk off like Davy Crockett into the wild unknown, I could have really potentially missed out on dinner or hurt myself or others because of the fact that that was not correctly zeroed for me. This goes with reading firearms manuals for all you new gun owners out there. Glad to have you here. And I just want to reiterate, practice becomes perfect. So one of the things, like, this is one of our Ketidine water filters. We've only used this once, and that's to test to see if it worked. Why? Because I have other ones that I use instead. I broke it out of my bag so that way I could go make sure that this thing still works and I don't have to replace the hoses and filters in it. Because I don't want to throw this in my bag if I need it and not have the ability to use it. So that concludes our top 5 things to help you with quarantine. Hope you found this list somewhat helpful and beneficial. I'd like to thank my lovely assistant for helping out. Is there anything you want to tell everybody? How about just tell everybody to be safe?
Be safe.
All right, sounds good. Thanks again for watching Mountain Moose Reviews. If you liked the video, please give me the big thumbs up button and subscribe below. Thanks so much. Have a good day.